hearing about. I mean, just like a lot of other things, it's a possibility, and probably more so than I want to believe myself.
Okay.
But I don't feel like that was a situation of it. Like I said, the bones weren't hanging on any type of ropes to indicate any type of a pattern or anything like that. They were just placed in some sapling tree limbs and such.
Right.
And then, I didn't see any type of candle wax or burning areas or little jars of candles or anything like that. Typically in a ritual, you would see stuff like that. I mean, it just didn't have any other signs of such activity.
Right. Okay.
It didn't.
All right, Eric, I'm doing this on a live, as you know, and for whatever reason, the audio didn't come out right off the bat, right until now. So, I don't know what happened, but we live and die by these damn computers. So I'm just going to rehash real quick up to this point, okay?
Yeah.
You got there. You were friends with Libby German's uncle. He called and asked you to come help with the search. You guys ended up going around to the south side, and you went up the old train tracks, which were not really maintained. They were woods, and they weren't cut like the rest of the trail was. And you got to up by the Weber house. And if you could, because this is, like I said, a lot of people have asked about this part. So if you could just go over that again. You found some bones where I indicated and some skulls and stuff like that. Can you just explain again, Eric? And I apologize, but could you explain what you saw, please?
There was just at the base of the hill there, the path that was made to get down into the bottoms. There was piles of bones there and some deer skulls and antlers placed in the trees there.
Now, were there any bones tied up or any kind of a structure built or anything like that out of trees?
No, nothing like that.
Okay, because that's a picture that's circulating. There's a structure and there's chains hanging from it and there's bones that are hanging from rope on the trees and stuff like that. I didn't think that was the case, but you know how it is, Eric. People run wild with shit,
Could be an old picture. It could be a newer picture. Somebody could have went out there and done that. It could be computer animated, but it wasn't there when I was.
Yeah, it doesn't really indicate where it was. I think people are assuming that that's in the Delphi area, but what's going around is that was near where the girls were, and it was a satanic ritual site. And when
and just down or up the river somewhere, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That thing does happen. I ain't saying that it ain't everywhere you go. I promise.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I know. I'm retired law enforcement here in Florida. I'm not going to say I've seen it all, because as soon as you say that, you see something really jacked up. But
you can't let something surprise you, because there's no end to some people.
Right. Now, when you were coming up that way, did you see any tree stands or hunting blinds or anything like that on the south side?
I don't recall really trying to look for any type of stands or anything. My eyes was really planted to the ground more so than anything. I tell you, I couldn't tell you how many scratches and tree limbs hit me in the face and eyeball, because I wasn't paying attention forward as to where I was going. I was just trekking the landscape and keeping my eyes down. I was looking for disturbance in the leaves and in the dirt, some type of tracks, anything, you know what I mean?
I got. Did you find anything like that?
No, I didn't. It appeared like we were the only ones down that track line in years.
Okay. Now, what about, were you guys calling out the girls' names, or could you hear anybody calling out the girls' names?
Not till later in the evening, going down the track line and such. No, it was isolated and quiet. It was just me and Libby's uncle.
Okay. So you got to the bridge, and there was how many people on that side of the bridge? And what were they doing? Were they just hanging around?
There was, I can't even remember, I think like 2, maybe 3 guys standing right at the where the trestle starts to cross.
Okay.
And it was dark. I'd never been to that trestle prior to this night. So I didn't know what I was walking across. And I kind of took large offense to the guy saying, hey, you can't cross these trestles. It's dangerous. It's unsafe. You can't, I immediately took offense, but I ain't going to kid you. There was some areas on that bridge that seemed to be, 3-foot spacing that you could just fall through to the depth below 60, 70 feet. It seemed like.
Yeah, I heard it's like 75 feet. I don't care if it's 50 feet. You could jack yourself up falling through there.
I'm just guessing. I don't know facts of the heights or anything really, honestly.
Now, did you have a flashlight or anything? Because it was getting dark at that point, right?
Yeah, if I remember correct, I can't remember. I remember asking for a big flashlight. I mouthed off when they told me I couldn't cross there. I got mouthy fast.
Right.
I'm that type of person. I'm very loud and I'm very proud. And if I believe I'm going to do something or can or something, it's going to happen.
Right.
So I instantly took offense. I instantly got loud. I instantly let them know, hey, you're not in charge of me and what I do. And this is what I'm doing. I told him, give me the big light, they had a big spotlight, one of them guys did. And I said, I can shine it down and out from afar across this bridge and light things up in a better perspective than what anybody is on the ground,
Now, what time did you get there? Do you know?
What time? It was dark.
But when you got there, when you started searching, it was dark already? I mean, when you got to the site to start searching, what time was it? I'm just trying to get a sense of how much time they had to search before it got dark. Do you follow me?
I do, and that's one of the other things is I don't, I had my phone in my hand when it got dark. That was my flashlight.
Okay.
But even with my phone in my hand the whole time, I don't even recollect the timeline. You know what I mean? That just wasn't something that I even once thought or looked at.
Right. Well, I can understand you searching for 2 girls,
all I could think about was where are these girls at? Where could they be? What could have happened? Like I said, when we pulled up onto the one trail and the 18 news van pulled up behind us and recorded and videoed us. And at that point, it was starting to get darker, not dark yet, but starting to. And, I'd done been worked up. I done got it in the gut. Something's not right. There's something going on here that's just not adding up.
Right.
And so they took a video of me, and that video and picture went viral. My face was all distraught. I mean, flat out, I looked like I was strung out on meth for 10, 12 days or some shit.
I remember you telling me that when we first talked. I was like, okay, I never even seen that video, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I got pretty upset about it, but it went around quite a bit.
Well, everybody was saying that you were about to say the word victim. That's why that went around. But, it's like people think they can get in your head, I guess,
Well, people, they think they can get in your head, and I'll be honest with you, there's people out there that might be listening to the video or the podcast I did with Frank, and then putting the podcast together I'm doing with you, and they might find one word or 2 words or maybe even a whole sentence that's just not the same as what it was with Frank. And only thing I can say is, I'm only human. I don't study this case or any type of case like this whatsoever. try my best to not.
Right. No, well, you know how I am, I think. You know, I don't play that bullshit either, Eric. You just speak your mind with me, and I really don't care what people think, to be honest with you. You and I are a lot alike when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you know, I just, you know, in a way, I feel like I should have been a little louder. And it just, nothing added up from the start, George. It didn't. Like, when I was, let's see, I'm trying to think of the timeline when the FBI called me. Now this, I can't even remember the dumbass's name.
This is a great story, by the way. I was laughing my ass off after I hung up with you. I can picture it. I can picture you talking to him like that.
This dude called me. I was headed home from work, okay, and he had called me, and I had already known what was going on. Like I said, my buddy had called me, and I was at work when he called me, and so when I got off, I already knew what was going to be going down, where I was headed to. And so then this fucking FBI agent calls me, and he starts questioning me about my whereabouts and where I was headed to and this and that. And I'm like, what's this about, you know? And so he tells me, you know, and I'm like, man, I said, it just seems to me like a double homicide or a missing persons on two children, however you're classifying this case here. It seems like you would probably pull me into the office, you know, and talk to me, not try and do this over the phone. It just don't make sense.
No, it doesn't. So you're absolutely right. Yeah, that's not the way.
I hung up on, you know, I hung up on the guy. He called me right. Hey, he calls me right back, like immediately. He calls me back. Okay.
I love it.
And he says, Mr. Williams, he said it would behoove you to answer my question. And I said, I kind of chuckled. I hadn't heard that word in quite some years. My grandma used to use it.
Sure.
And so it kind of took me back immediately, and I chuckled at him. And I said, well, it would behoove you to suck my left nut and make the right one jealous or some shit like that. And I hung up on him again.
You know he was hot. He was hot.
I promise. And so he calls me back immediately the third time. And he says, Mr. Williams, don't hang up. And I said, what do you want, man? I said, seriously, I'm not doing this over the phone or some shit like that. And he says, I need your address. I'm going to have some officers heading your way. And I said, well, you got my number, and this is a cell phone. It's not exactly in a phone book or nothing like that. So I think you can probably come up with my address. He says, yeah, you're exactly right, Mr. Williams. I got your address. And he rambles off the address that I was at. And he says, is that correct? I said, sounds like you know your shit. He says, I'll see you in an hour, Mr. Williams. I said, well, you better bring some friends because I'm not too friendly with you motherfuckers. And I hung up the phone. And so he calls me back like an hour and 15 minutes later. And he says, Mr. Williams. I said, what the hell is it now? Where are you at, man? And he says, I got officers sitting at this address, and they're staring into a cornfield. I fucking lost it, dude.
Is there a cornfield near your house?
Oh, well, yeah, it's out in the county. You know, the house was in the county, but there was no officers nearby.
Right.
They were just flat out at the wrong address. And I laughed at him. I said, and you're looking for a double homicide killer. And I hung up the phone.
I remember you told me, he asked where you were, and you said, I'm sitting on my front porch, motherfucker, with my shotgun. Coming on.
Yeah, I did. There was some other conversation there, and just some bullshit. I was just running at the mouth. I was trying to make this son of a bitch pissed off. I mean, the way he went about it and the way he called me, man, there's no ethical rhyme or reason why they should have treated any type of case the way they did this.
No, that was ridiculous. To call you on the phone like that instead of bringing you in for questioning, that doesn't even make sense, because you want to see body language, nonverbal communication. You want to control the situation if you're law enforcement.
Yeah, I would think.
Yeah, you would hope. Now, how and when did you verify that that indeed was the FBI? Because I would have been questioning it.
Well, my mom, when they called back, like I said, I was traveling on my way home, and so when I got home, I was living with my parents at the time. I was going through a little hardship myself, and
Okay.
I moved back in with mom and dad for a few months there, and of course told mom what was going on, what had just happened, and so when he called back, and mom was pretty upset. She don't like any kind of confrontation with anyone over anything, and so when he called me back and I hung up on him again, mom had called the local sheriff's department over there
Okay.
and spoke with the local sheriff and verified what they already knew, where I was and who I was.
Right.
Like it was just some dumb bullshit, man. Like flat out, they just wasted time, taxpayers' money, like all the donation money.
What a surprise! What a shocker!
Yeah,
huh?
it's all. It was a fucking rat race for the most money.
Oh, absolutely.
Somebody took two little girls' lives for money.
Yeah.
It's all blood money, bro. All blood money.
Yep. It's at this point, Eric, we still don't know a lot. Now, did you know when you got there? Just to back up a little bit, did you know anybody there that was searching? I mean, you knew her uncle? I know that, but you weren't from that general area, were you?
No, I wasn't a local resident and have never been a local resident of Delphi. But I ain't to say I didn't know anyone. I didn't recognize and talk to anyone as a friend.
Okay.
But I might have known somebody that was there and just didn't realize it.
Right.
But no.
All right, and I'm just, I'm looking at the chat and seeing what people are asking. So if I ask you a question, that's why. So somebody asked about the bones. When you found the bones, did it look like just the Webbers were probably, killing shit and putting the bones over there or something like that, or did it look a little bit more processed type thing?
Well, it just looked like a big pile of bones, man.
Okay.
Like it was just a pile of bones. I mean,
no, I understand. Honestly, trust me.
I worked on a hog barn or a hog farm, and we'd dig a hole and throw the bones of hogs in there. After several months of hogs laying in that hole, you'd have piles of bones there. Well, that's about what it looked like. Only had furs and such instead of skin of the hog.
Yeah.
But,
right, now, you know how you said you had a bad feeling in your gut and a bad vibe? Now, was that because of the way everybody was acting? I mean, was it weird just from Jump Street?
And I'll be honest with you, I think it was, I couldn't even really give you a total exact answer upon that, but I think it was just a fact of the timeline of how long these girls had already been missing, mixed in with the the likelihood and their normal actions. The way I understood was not to come up missing or not let their parents and be known of where their whereabouts are. It just wasn't really hitting like anything of their nature. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so by the timeline and not knowing anything of the nature was correct, you start to get worried.
Yeah.
I'm a father too, and I'd have been a lot worried, probably sooner than that.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Now, what did it appear to you that everybody was using the appropriate sense of urgency? Or were people just standing around? Do you know what I mean? When you got there, I guess, was it organized? Did it look like anybody knew what the hell they were doing?
No.
Okay. Because like I said at first, dude, you covered a lot of ground. A lot of
and
ground.
didn't people really, honestly.
Yeah, but you think the people, if they started at the mirrors, drop off the search.
Once I got to the bridge, there was starting to be more and more people. But all prior to getting past the Weber's house, I didn't see anyone. I couldn't hear anyone. Like, dude, it was just, like I said, it was isolated and quiet.
Right.
There was nobody in that general direction. And it didn't appear like there was anyone any farther down in the downstream.
And that's why I'm asking you. You'd think you'd hear people yelling, calling the girls' names, especially since it's starting to get dark and cold, you know?
Again, once you get to the bridge area, down in the bottoms areas, once I crossed that trestle and turned right and went down into the bottoms, I could. And I did see people. But prior to all that, no, there wasn't nobody walking in track lines. I couldn't have been the only one to think, well, maybe they didn't go on the main trail. Maybe they went the tracks. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
no, yeah.
I couldn't have been the only one thinking outside the box here. I couldn't have been.
Well, you were at least one that we know of, you know. I don't think many other people have come forward, Eric, to tell you the truth. But it's now that was you, I think, on Frank's, because somebody asked about everything was lit up like a football field. That was you that said that, right? That if you had a bigger light, you could have lit that place up like a football field if you're standing on the bridge.
What we doing?
Come get your quickie saw.
Oh. Hey, George, I'm going to have to get off here.
All right, brother.
All right.
All right.
I'll catch you later.
Talk to you later. Bye. All right. Well, it looks like he got some company or something. We'll finish it up. I'll see if I can get him back. I'll call him back later, and we'll finish it up. We just got to the point. But he said I don't think he was expecting anybody to be there, but it sounds like somebody stopped by his house. So I apologize for that, but I can't control that. I will get with him tonight, and I will put out when I can get back with him, because we just got to, now him and I have spoken. So I know pretty much what the story is from the bridge. You know, when he crossed the bridge, he turned right and he went down that sharp embankment. Let me just put this, just so you guys can know, I'm going to get him back. But I just don't know when, but he's a good dude. See this one right here. He got over the bridge and went down the embankment, and he went almost all the way. He was within 85 yards of where the girls were found. So he was right there, and somebody came and told him, hey, stop searching, we're calling it off. He doesn't know if it was fire department, just like the people, whoever was at the bridge. He was assuming they were fire department, but he's not sure. And he told me today that he wouldn't even be able to pick him up out of a lineup. He wouldn't be able to see him. But he said by the time he got to where they called it off, that it was dark. He couldn't even see his hand in front of his face, and he didn't have a flashlight. But he was right there. You know, this is the part of the whole thing that I wanted to ask some questions about. We cleared up the whole bones thing. There was no structure. There was no chain. There was no bones hanging from trees, anything like that. And we cleared up his actual path that he took to get to the bridge and what he did after that. So there shouldn't be any gray area with that. I've been seeing a lot, especially the past week or so, people are speculating what he did. Well, now at least we know up to this point exactly what he did. And I trust Eric. He's a good dude. He's a good dude. Yeah, Tina, he knows, he's friendly with one of the girls, Libby's uncle is what it is. I don't know how close he is with the family or anything. But if nothing else, him and I text back and forth, and if I speak to him on the phone, you know, I can tell you guys what was said and stuff like that. I really don't like bothering people, to be honest with you, but I didn't feel like I'm bothering him. He's a good dude. But if I text with him, you know, I'll put out that information. I'll let you guys know what he says, because I want to finish the conversation with him. Personally, him and I have had bits and pieces, you know, throughout the past couple months, but I wanted to get the whole thing from him today, but unfortunately he couldn't stay any long. But yeah, it's Vanessa. It was Libby's uncle that he was friendly with, because everybody, his last name's Williams, so everybody thought it was he was related to Abby, but they were mistaken. He is Libby German's uncle is his friend. Okay, so like I said, we know where the bones were now. We know they weren't on the other side of the creek. He described what he saw. I'll see if I can get a little bit more detail from him. The whole general atmosphere there, it didn't look like people had anything organized or anything like that, but he didn't hear anybody yelling the girls' names, and to me that's odd. That's really odd, because I know that probably all of us would be yelling the girls' names, So, yeah, he sent me, and I'll post it on my community section. He actually sent me a picture of one of these maps, because I sent them all to him. I had to do it like 3 or 4 times because I was off by a little bit, and I wanted to get as close as possible. But he put some dots on the map exactly where the bones were, and then exactly where he searched to. He searched right to where the creek starts bending back to the left pretty sharp. So he was right there. So that's crazy. He was that close. And for nobody to be yelling for the girls, it wasn't. Now, I believe it was Mike Patty that said when they came back, there was people everywhere and there was flashlights everywhere. I just don't see how they missed the girls, I can't understand how that happened. Everybody that knows me knows that it's crazy that they missed the girls. Look at all the territory he covered before it got dark. And you gonna tell me people coming from the Mears drop-off point that were walking through those woods couldn't see them? I don't know. That's a question that I have. But him and I talked about that, and I'll let you guys know what his opinion was on that. But we didn't even get that far. But I promise you, I'll get him back. And I just don't want to rehash everything with him again. We'll just take it from the bridge, from when he turned right and went down on the other side of the creek. Okay? And I apologize for that, for cutting this short. It's out of my control. There's nothing I can do about it. But you guys have a great day. And if I get him back, I will let you guys know. But not if I get him back, when I get him back. He'll be coming back. Yeah, I understand, Indy. I understand. I'll find out, Pam. I'll talk to him. We'll get to the bottom of all this. He's a good source for information. My name is Ruckus, and I am 10-7. Thank you, everybody, for coming on. Like I said, anybody that wants to use this, have at it. You can use anything you want. I really don't play that